Hi, I'm Jess, co-host of the Elder Tree podcast and herbalist at Evans Head Naturopathy. You're listening to the Self-Care with Herbs segment, where each month I invite a new guest to chat about how weaving plants into their days enriches their experience of self-care, exploring routines, rituals and recipes for elevating mind, body and spirit. Hello and welcome to the very first episode of Self-Care with Herbs. I'm so excited to begin this journey, exploring the many ways we can look to the plants for support during times of self-care. Self-care is a practice close to my heart. As well as being a small businesswoman, I'm also a mum of two gorgeous kids, my son Teak, who's 12, and my daughter Violet, who's 9. Balancing small business and motherhood is a constant juggle, and one I feel I manage with more grace when self-care is a daily practice woven through my days. But first, a little about my journey down the plant path. I wasn't always a herbalist and naturopath, but I've always been a passionate educator. I come from a long line of teachers. My mum, Gran, and many of her sisters were primary school teachers. And this urge to share knowledge running through my blood inspired me to study a degree in secondary education. In my early 20s, I worked as a HSIE teacher in high schools in Newcastle and spent time working in environmental education with the local council, working with local schools, sharing ways for students and staff to reduce their environmental footprint through energy and water saving. The pull towards plant medicine coincided with my journey towards motherhood. As I thought about bringing a small human into the world, and all that entailed, my desire to be able to care for my loved ones and feel confident to manage the inevitable ups and downs drew me towards a degree in naturopathy. As a kid, I was lucky enough to grow up on 40 acres of beautiful bush, 20 minutes from the closest town. Being isolated, we were fairly self-sufficient, and Mum always had a well-stocked homeopathic first aid kit and an abundance of herbal folk remedies on hand. From herbal cough syrups to herbal lozenges to inhalations, there were always plant remedies on hand. This love of and connection to the plants and nature is in my blood. Now working as a herbalist and naturopath, I feel blessed to not only have the tools to support my own health and that of my family, but also to share that knowledge with a wider community. I'm passionate about empowering and encouraging people to feel confident to use plant medicine in all of its guises. I'm all about moving away from the idea that herbs are only available in little brown bottles as tinctures or as pills or capsules. I encourage everyone to see the plant medicine all around them. From the dandelion, chickweed and plantain we might spy thriving in the cracks of pavements, to the lemongrass, sage or thyme we might have growing in pots for use in the kitchen, to the beautiful magnolias we see blooming in early spring. As a novice medicine maker, I love sharing how accessible and fun making medicines from herbs can be, and how weaving them into our lives can enrich our practice of self-care. This space provides the perfect vessel to explore the importance of daily self-care, how that looks different for everybody, and hopefully gives you some inspiration to weave plant medicine into your days. Self-care for me means finding time each day for things that bring me joy, or sometimes the things that my future self will thank me for, like putting out my leggings and joggers the night before so I'm more inspired to go for my morning walk in nature. I know that I operate on a calmer and less frazzled level when I take time each day to care for me. Otherwise, my cup feels empty as I care for others, both in my home life and my work life. But I'm human and I'm not always consistent. So I find the small, simple, easily repeatable rituals and routines are what works best for me. Sometimes It can be as simple as sitting in my herb garden, listening to the herbs. Lemon balm might say, "Hey mama, you seem a bit frazzled today. Crush me, smell me, sip me in a tea." Calendula, blooming in the depths of winter, might offer a bright flower to lighten up the day. Withania might remind me I need grounding, and I might spoon her into my hot chocolate. Sage has often saved me when the winter sore throats and fevers hit. Beautiful silvery leaves catching my eye as I duck out into the garden for a little reprieve from soothing sick little ones. An early morning walk in nature has been a self-care practice I've leaned into for decades. Noticing the changes around me, the smells, sounds, and colours as the seasons cycle, helps me feel calm and grounded. Keeping a pen and notebook by my bedside for gratitude journaling each night before I fall asleep is another way self-care makes its way into my day. Noting down those small, everyday joys, the tiny fluff balls of baby mulberries growing in early spring, the joy of a first jasmine flower, echinacea blooming in my herb garden, the contentment experienced enjoying a bowl of homemade pumpkin soup on a cool autumn night. Self-care means being consistent with my herbal allies. Master herbalist Sally Kingsford Smith taught me about person picture herbs, and I'm all chamomile, giving you all the details about everything. Feeling my stresses in my belly? If I'm consistent with chamomile and the herbal adaptogens I often lean on, like Withania and Schisandra, I feel more balanced and grounded. Carving out space in my days for medicine making fills my cup to the brim. This is really my happy place, and I find if I make time for it regularly, I feel joyful and fulfilled. Spending a day pottering around in my herb garden and apothecary soothes my soul. Harvesting lemon balm for a fresh plant tincture, digging up my 6-year-old Withania to harvest her roots, browsing old herbal books for recipes, filling my basket with calendula blooms to dry and infuse in oil, blending that luscious golden oil with local beeswax to create my healing calendula balm, spending the day with my herbal medicine making friend, percolating a potent tincture of St. John's wort, blending sleepyhead herbal glycertrax for little ones. Time whizzes by when I'm engaged with the plants. It's taken me a long time, but I feel like I'm fairly in tune with the whispers my body gives that let me know that it's time to make self-care a priority these days. It might be the edges of fatigue just nudging me to slow down and lean into those minty, iron-rich nettle infusions and grounding adaptogenic hot chockies. Or a frazzled afternoon where nerve endings feel that little bit more sensitive, where I'm reaching for my freshly pressed St. John's wort tincture and a cup of oaten skullcap tea. Often, when these whispers from my body start to get loud, it's because life's been busy and some of my regular self-care rituals and routines have fallen away. I find if I listen to these messages from my body and lean back into those rituals and routines, I'm able to find balance and equilibrium more quickly. The fatigue doesn't develop into a viral infection. The frazzled nerves don't morph into an all-encompassing sense of overwhelm. The scattered thoughts don't start to creep in at night and cause broken sleep. One of my favourite rituals that helps to weave the plants into my days is preparing an overnight infusion of nourishing nutritive herbs. A blend I come back to time and again is a really simple one. Iron-rich and nutritious nettle, soothing and grounding oats, and delicious fresh spearmint. I use a large glass jar. I think mine's about 1.5 litres, and I add about a tablespoon each of the dried herbs. Pour over boiling water, cover and leave to steep overnight. This blend is so yummy cold And sometimes, if I feel like I need some added support, I'll even add my liquid herbs to this cooled tea and sip refreshing glassfuls throughout the day. I hope you've enjoyed this little introductory episode and that it's given you some inspiration to begin to invite the plants into your days. I really look forward to having you along as I chat to people walking the plant path in different ways, from herbalists to medicine makers to growers and everything in between, and learning from them all the ways we can use plants to enrich our experience of self-care. I'm so glad you tuned into this episode of Self-Care with Herbs, a segment of the Elder Tree podcast. The Elder Tree is a non-profit dedicated to empowering people through grassroots herbal education and earth skills, weaving a strong community of herbalists, healers and plant folk in Australia. The Elder Tree is in the beginning stages of creating a grassroots herbal education centre and healing sanctuary on the Atherton Tablelands, far north Queensland. You can head over to theeldertree.org to find out more and follow the journey on Instagram and Facebook. You can also donate to the Elder Tree via our podcast channel on Anchor or via the website. If you liked the episode, we'd love you to subscribe, and if you know who we should interview next, drop us a line. I hope you found something in this episode that has inspired you to begin to lean into those plant allies and to experience your practice of self-care blossoming and blooming. I look forward to sharing more ways you can weave plant medicine into your days next month.